What is going on, guys? Welcome back. In today's video, we're going to learn how to process, edit, and create Word files in Python. So let us get right into it.
It's not a game, it's a rich
Alright, so we're going to first start with the creation process. We're going to learn how to create a new empty Word file in Python, how to add some text, how to add some headings, some lists, some tables, and so on. And then we're going to learn how we can extract information from an existing Word file, how we can get some information from an existing Word file on our computer. And for this video, we're going to use an external Python library called Python docx. And in order to install it, we need to open up a command line. We need to type pip install python-docx. And in my case, this is already installed. Once you have that, what you can say is you can say from docx import document. And we're also going to need import paragraphs like this. And then we can just start by creating a simple document. We can say document equals document. And to this document now we can add a bunch of things. Once we're done, we can just say document.save. And we can call this, for example, test.docx. I think actually this should already create a new file. Let's see. If I run this, we get this test.docx file. And if I open it, it's an empty Word file. So this already works. And now we can use this document object to add all sorts of things. For example, we can say something like create a new paragraph and edit to the document. Or maybe we want to start with a heading. So we can say, for example, document.add_heading. And we want to say, for example, hello world. And then I can just run this again. And if I now open this here, you can see that this is heading 1. Now I think that if I pass 0 instead of 1, so if I say hello world and then comma 0, I think this should pick the title. There you go. So now it picked the title. And I'm not sure if 1 is heading 1 or if it refers to something else, but I think 1 should be heading 1. If I'm not mistaken, there you go. And 2 should be heading 2 and so on. So this is how you can do that. Let's see if heading 2 works as well. There you go, it works. So 0 is title and 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on are the respective headings. So this is how we create a simple heading. We can also now add a simple paragraph of text. We can say p equals document.add_paragraph, and we can say hello, okay, not again hello world. Let's say this is a sample text. And then I can just run this, and if I open this now, you can see this is a sample text. And now I can say 0 again to get a title so that we see that there is a real difference here. So this works. And now we can also say, okay, to this paragraph, I want to add some more text, but I want to add it in bold or italic style. So I can say, for example, p.add_run this text, maybe with a space. This text is bold, and then .bold equals true, like this. And then I can do the same thing. This text is italic, .italic equals true. And if I run this, this should already produce the desired text. So you can see bold, italic. So this works easily here as well. So this is how you can do simple text styling in a paragraph. And we can do all sorts of things here. So for example, I can add now multiple paragraphs that I want to style as a list bullet. So I can say here document.add_paragraph. And I want to say, for example, this is item 1. And the style of this item should be list bullet, I think is the correct style here. And I can copy this and change this here to 2, 3, 4, and 5. And I hope that, okay, this doesn't work. What's the problem here? Add paragraph, style list bullet. Oh, not bulleted, but bullet. Had a typo here. So remove the first T. There you go. Now, if I run this, we can see that I have 5 list bullets here. So this also works. And of course, as always, when I make a video on a library, if you want to know all the features, if you want to know all the styles that you can pass, if you want to know all the keywords that you can have, if you want to know all the add functions, look at the documentation. When I make a video on a library, it's usually to show you that this library exists and how it works in general. But if you now want to know, okay, for example, instead of list bullets, how can I do something else? Just go to documentation for the sake of completeness. In this video, I'm going to show you a big picture perspective on this library, and then you can go deeper into the individual features. So what I want to show you here as well is how to create a simple table. So let's say I want to add a table to our Word document where we have, I don't know, people with name, age, and job or something like that, and we want to have a simple table representing these people. So we can say, for example, here table header equals, and I'm going to say, okay, I want to have a name, I want to have an age, and I want to have a job. And then I'm going to say some data equals, and here I'm going to have a list of lists, and those are going to be the table rows. So I can say, for example, we have John. John is 46 years old, and he's a programmer. Then we're going to have, let's copy this here. We're going to have Mary, and we're going to have Anna, and we're going to have Bob. And Mary is going to be, I don't know, 55, and she's also going to be a programmer, and Anna is going to be 27, and she's going to be, I don't know, accountant. Yeah, I'm going to have Bob. Bob is going to be 50, and he's going to be a chef. So a cook. And then what we do is we create a new table by saying table equals document dot add underscore table. And we say we want to have one row and we want to have 3 columns. Like this. And then we're going to say for I in range. In this case, we're going to say 3. We're going to say table rows 0 dot cells at the index I. So for the first row, the text of that is going to be whatever the text is in the table header. So the basic idea here is that we take table header I. The basic idea is that we go to the first row, so index 0, which is the header of the table. And for each cell, for each column here, we're going to set whatever we have in the table headers at that respective position. So first column, name. Second column, age. Third column, job. That's the basic idea. And now we're going to say here for name, age, job in some data. We want to say cells are equal to the table. We're going to add a new row to the table like this. I'm going to get the cells here as a result of that. And then we're going to say cells 0 is going to be, or cell 0.text is going to be the name. And then we're going to have 1, 2, age, job. So I can run this now. And of course I have a problem. Add table. Got an unexpected argument row. I think it has to be rows. Is that the problem? That it's singular? Int object is not iterable. Which line is that? Cells 1.text. Oh, this is a number, so we need to say string of age. Permission denied. Yes, because the file is opened. Okay, third error. Are we good to go now? There you go. Let's open it up again, and now you can see we have a table. Even though the table doesn't have a style, I can add a style here by saying this here, for example. But we have a table here. We have name, age, job, and we have name, age, and job for the individual people here. Now, before we go to the reading of Word files, I want to show you a bunch of more little things here. For example, we can do a page break. We can say document.add underscore page underscore break to say, okay, now we're going to start working on a new site here. So document.add paragraph, for example, hello new page, something like this. And then one thing that I want to show you here also is how to add images. So, oh, I think I'm actually after the save statement, so this won't work. Now it should work. There you go. So we have a new page break, and here we have the new paragraph on the new page. And now what we can do is we can also add a new image. Here I have the Neural 9 wallpaper that I have on my desktop, and all I'm going to do here now is I'm going to say document.add_picture, and I'm going to pass here neural wallpaper.png. And there you go, we have the image in the Word file. So those are the basics of creating and writing into a Word file using Python. Now let us look at how this is done the other way around. How can we take a file that already exists, a Word file that already exists, and extract information from it? For example, we might want to go through the individual tables and extract some table data, or we might want to go through all the headings and extract the titles of the individual sections. If we want to do something like this, we need to change the import statement to be from docx.api import document instead of just from docx import document. And then we can still just say document equals document and refer to the test docx file. And then we can just iterate over different segments of the Word file. For example, a very simple thing we can do is we can get all the headings, at least if they're actual headings, right? So you can format something to look like a heading and then it's not a heading. So let me show you how this works. If I go to the Word file, this is a heading because we can see here the style is a heading. This is a title or a heading, whatever, but it's actually one of those styles. I can also just go down here. Now I have the normal style, but I can take this and choose a bold font or a bold style, and then I can increase the font size and I can center it and all that. This is still not a heading. Even though it works as a heading, it's not a heading because it's not from the style heading. This is important. We're not going to find something like this here. We're only going to find actual headings. So what we can do is we can say here, for example, for p in document.paragraphs, we want to find all the headings. And how do we do that? We say, okay, if the p.style name starts with heading, so heading 1, heading 2, heading 3, and so on. And of course, depending on your document, you can change that. So maybe you have different names that you want to look for. If that is the case, or p.style.name is equal to title, then in our case, we're just going to print the value. We're going to say p text. However, you can, of course, also store this somewhere, do something with it. In this case, we only have hello world. So let's open the file and add some headings. So if I say down here, for example, heading 1, what is up, question mark. And then maybe down here, I want to have heading 4. This is also a heading, whatever. And now I close this and I run this again. And now we can see here that we have more headings. And I think this is a blank line that is still a heading. So that is why we see a blank line here. But this is how you can do that, for example. You go through all the information, you go through all the paragraphs, and if the style starts with heading or is a title, you print it, you process it, whatever you want to do. We can do the same thing here for tables in a slightly different way. We can do something like for table in document.tables, for example. This can actually be quite useful for data science, even though Word documents are not necessarily like docx files are not usually files that we use to send data frames or data sets in general, but maybe you have data sets or previews of data sets in books and you want to extract them or something like that. So what you can do here is we can just say for table in document tables. I'm going to say, okay, now we have a new table here that I'm printing. And we can say for row in table rows, we can just print separated by a pipe symbol. We're going to join here the following list comprehension, the cell dot text for cell in row cells. And if I run this here, you can see our table, name, age, job, and our table here. And of course, if I open the file and somewhere here at the end, I add a new table, I insert a table like this, and I'm just going to add some information here. I'm not going to do anything meaningful. I'm also going to skip some of them. Whatever, something like this. And then I save it, and then I run this again. You can see we have a second table here, new table with the new information. So this also works. This can be quite useful for data science as well. And we can, of course, also get all of the text that we find in ordinary paragraphs. So we can say all text is equal to an empty string. And then we're going to say for paragraph in document.paragraphs, we're gonna say all text plus equals p.text, and then, oh, sorry. Then we're gonna say all text plus equals \n. And then I'm gonna run this here. And of course we need to print all text in the end, otherwise this is gonna be a problem. But then you can see here we have all the text of this document. Now, of course, this is without the tables, but you can concatenate this with the tables, and then you have all the text. And one last thing that I want to show you here is maybe you want to filter based on text size. So maybe you want to say, okay, I'm not interested in all these paragraphs here. What I'm interested in is all the paragraphs that have a certain font size. For example, down here, I can say this is one of those that we're looking for. And then I can increase the font size to 16. And then I can copy this, and maybe I can put one here as well in the list. This is one of those. Then I can say here, okay, this one I want it to be font size 16. This is special, I'm gonna call this one. I'm gonna save this, and now what we're gonna do is we're gonna look for paragraphs that have a font size of 16 points. So we're gonna say from, actually we need to import here first, from docx.shared, I'm gonna import pt, and we're gonna say here that all 16 pt text is going to be an empty string. Then for p in document.paragraphs, I'm going to say for all the runs, or so for run in p runs, we're going to say if run.font underscore size, or not underscore, font.size, sorry, is equal to pt and parentheses 16, and then we're going to say all 16 pt text plus equals p.text, and then all 16 pt text plus equals \n. And then we can print all 16 pt text. And then you can see that we get those here. Now, I think, why did we get this twice? Do we have a problem here? Let me just see. Do I have it twice, maybe? Or maybe the reason is that for some reason, those are treated as two things. Maybe because it's part of the list. Let's remove this from the list and put it somewhere down here. Without it being a list. Let's see if this changes something. Okay, now I have it 3 times. What the hell is going on? How does this print the whole thing 3 times? Okay, I'm gonna find out what it does, and I'm gonna come back to you. Okay, I think I figured out what's happening. Now I changed this to this is special or so, and now it's printed 5 times because I think that each of those things here, each of those words is treated as a separate run in this case. So this is not the case for the one down below. So I think if I change this here to normal as well, like this whole thing, and then I change the font size again to 16, and now I save it, and now I run it, we see it 3 times still. Okay, why do we see it 3 times? Okay, now I changed it again. I rewrote the text and I deleted some of the blank lines that had the same formatting. Now I ran this again and now I get it only once. So I think it is because we go for each run in p runs, and then we add the same p all the time, so this can produce problems. You can also try a different strategy, but this is essentially how you can do that. And all sorts of things like those can be done. You can look for styling, you can look for color, you can do all sorts of things. Again, as always, if you want to have the complete arsenal of commands and attributes to use, you can just look up the documentation. But this is how you process Word files in Python. So that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it and I hope you learned something. If so, let me know by hitting the like button and leaving a comment in the comment section down below. And of course, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell to not miss a single future video for free. Other than that, thank you much for watching. See you in the next video, and bye.